Hey, how's it going? Rich from Elk Endeavors here. Hey, listen, I wanted to, first of all, thank you very much for watching the webinar last night. If you did, I'm really excited about it. I enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully you got a chance to watch it, and it provided some value for you and gave you some things to think about, because it's so important to be thinking about what you want to do with your business, with your life, and the steps that you want to take to get there. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I also wanted to thank you for watching these videos. If you've been watching them, I appreciate it very much. Drop me a comment. Drop me hit the subscribe button. I'm putting out content every day. Try new things, and that's really very important to me that I keep doing it. I don't need any like outside motivation, which is really cool. But I would love to hear what you have to say, and if you have things that you're interested in me talking about, definitely let me know, because I'm always open for new things to talk about. I always have plenty of things to talk about, but definitely after a night like last night, with the webinar, that's it takes a lot out of you, and the energy level and trying to get excuse me, get up for that, at 9 o'clock at night, after a long day's work and whatnot is difficult. So, definitely let me know if you have something you want me to talk about, I'll get on it. So that's all I just wanted to say. And then, so tonight I wanted to talk about storytelling, and that is, I was listening to Russell Brunson on the way home. I listened to his podcast, and if you haven't, go to Marketing Secrets on any podcast app. And listen to Marketing Secrets. And my suggestion, honestly, is go all the way back to day one, and even marketing your car. He started out doing a thing called marketing in your car, and then that got shut down for some reason. And then so he went to Marketing Secrets. And I'm just about, so it's interesting. So now I am in, I think it's like March 27th of 2019. So it's this year, and it's actually like while I'm an affiliate entrepreneur, right? So I've become an affiliate entrepreneur at the point where he's talking, and it's really fun for me to think about like all the things that ClickFunnels is doing while I'm doing the things that I'm doing to get my business going. So that's been pretty fun. But he was talking about storytelling tonight, and how important it is to be able to tell a story, and how it takes practice, and that's really that's something that, oddly, I think people see me as a storyteller. I began telling. I don't tell stories like out of. I sort of tell them out of habit, and I illustrate things with stories, and I have a lot of stories, which is, I'm very fortunate because I've had quite an interesting life, in terms of the things that I've chosen, and the things I've done and chosen to do, and I can illustrate many things through stories and through talking about like the way that I came about certain things. So. That's a really important thing, and fortunately, people seem to resonate with me, with my stories. Like when I talk to other people, at school and whatnot, that's something that they kind of resonate with. So that's what that's something that I don't specialize in it, but it's something that's important to me, and I have it as an advantage. But it took practice, and I really didn't know that I was practicing, but I don't want to say believe it or not, because I don't, I'm not by any means going to claim that I'm the greatest storyteller in the world, but I came from a point where I could not tell a story to save my life. And it was kind of like a psychological problem. It became a psychological problem because it got to the point where I would start a story, and like I get like 3 lines in, and I'd be like, this is going to bomb, and everyone knows it. And so this was in college, right? So I think in high school, I didn't really, no one really paid attention to me in high school, but then in college, people started, like, I'd be talking, and I'd be telling, try to tell a story with other people and whatnot. And as soon as I started talking, it got to the point where as soon as I started talking, people would just kind of roll their eyes, and I knew that this story was going to bomb. And psychologically, you can't come back from that, right? Like, there's no way to come back from that. But I persisted, but the persistence was really just kind of like, I was too I wasn't smart enough to figure out that I shouldn't tell stories. It was so, I mean, it was so bad, and it was just so funny that, like, that was what was my, it was a real problem, and to the point that, like, my senior year, I actually ended up I ended up living in a closet, like literally a closet, and so the way that came about was I had booked I had asked to, or I'd been asked by two different sets of guys to live in their apartment. We had apartments at my school. I went to the University of Richmond. And so I was asked by these two sets of guys to live in their apartment. And then, unbeknownst to other people in their apartment, they asked other people. And I was without an apartment for my senior year. So I was like, this is a drag. And so we were there. We just first got there, first night of school, or first night back from summer for our senior year, and someone joked that I should just grab a mattress from my dorm room and bring it over and put it in the closet. And so we did. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We went over, got the mattress, came back, put it in the closet, and I lived in the closet the whole year. I lived in the closet, and so it became like this sort of. I was like this folk hero almost. Like I was the guy that lived in the closet, and everyone knew that there was a person that lived in the closet, but no one knew who I was. And so people would come over for parties, and there'd be lines. It was right outside the kitchen. My closet was right outside the kitchen, and so that's where like the beer was and whatnot. And so so these people would come over, and they'd be in line for to get to the other place, or it was just so crowded, and I'd like duck between people and dodge between people, and I'd open the door and like duck into the closet because I needed to get something. I mean, I had everything in there. All the stuff that I owned was in this closet, and it was under the stairs. And so I'd come out, and they'd be like, What were you doing in there?" And I was like, "Well, that's my room." And they were like, "Oh, you're the guy in the closet, right?" And so, and there's a lot of fun with that. But then they also knew about my storytelling, and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy that can't tell stories." And it was like that was like what I was known for, was being in the closet, and or living in the closet, and not being able to tell stories. And then to the point that when I came back, like there was one year where I went back for like a 5-year reunion or something like that, and I left college, and many of my friends went right into business, and I went into the army, and then I got out of the army, and I started working for a bike touring company. So I went from like being in ROTC, like having my hair cut short and whatnot, to be in the army, and then I got out of the army, and I didn't shave or grow, cut my hair for like 2 years. And so in that first year, I went back to Richmond, and and I had real long hair, and my beard was long, and people didn't recognize me. So people that didn't pay any attention to me when I was in college, like I just could walk right by them because they didn't recognize me. But that was when I started telling all these stories about my bike touring adventures and my army adventures, and all these people they had just gone into the workforce, and they were already tired. It was like 5 years after college, and they looked exhausted, and they just felt exhausted. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did what I did, going into the army and then going on my bike, because I got to see all these things, and I got to live all these stories, and that's really has given me a leg up, on people and in my business, because I can literally like relate anything to a story that has happened to me in my life. And so when I'm trying to explain something to someone, I can relate it to a time in my life when I struggled. I can relate it to a time in my life when I'm scared. I'm actually working on a video that I'm going to do that is, it's going to be, I don't know, I'm going to tell the full story of my parachute experience and my airborne experience when I was in the army and I went through airborne school. But there's a whole experience there that I think is going to be really relevant to all my viewers. And so I'm working on that. I'm working on scripting that out because it's being more of a rehearsed thing. These are obviously non-scripted, but that's something that the storytelling to me is, I'm very lucky to have a leg up on many people, and I want to help other people tell their stories. and do it effectively, because I think I'm doing it pretty effectively. And you can let me know if I'm not and what I can, what I can do to help that. But I'm really excited about what I'm doing, and that also helps as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And going back to Russell Brunson, he talks about, like, you just have to continue telling stories. You have to continue get telling stories and getting your voice out there, because people want to hear the stories. They need to, in order for anyone to act, you have to have a story that will change their belief system, right? You have to have this story that says, like, okay, well, I was where you were and I understand exactly where you're coming from, but here's how I broke that, and here's how I, like, shifted to the other side. And that's why I tell my Uber driver story, and that's why I tell my bee in the pizza story, right? And that's why I tell my airborne story and my Appalachian Trail story and my cycling stories. All those things come back to being able to tell stories to break people's beliefs, to have fun, break people's beliefs, and and really enjoy themselves. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I really appreciate you watching and listening in, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Please hit the like button, and if you're interested in the 4% Success Challenge, hit the link below. I'm telling you, it is the thing. And if you want to have some stories, you go ahead and hit that like button, or hit that 4% Success Challenge, and see what happens to you in 6 months to a year. All right, because you'll be where I am, which is a pretty good place. So have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.